morning, everybody. Welcome to an early episode of Get Bucked. It's episode 29, as usual. I'm joined by my co-host Jackson, who's in a car this morning. So we're on the go. Jackson, how you doing?
Doing good. New location. This is actually my second show of the day already, and it's still very early on the West Coast. But you know what? It's the opening week at Keeneland, so we're ready for it, and we're very excited.
That's right, 9:30 in the morning out here. Thanks you guys for joining us. So we're going to bring in our guest now to go over opening Saturday at Keeneland with an all-stakes pick 5. He's towards the end of his day, luckily, and he is out in what is now sunny Lexington, but it's going to be rainy and stormy. Guest is Ben Kudla from Equibase. Ben, how you doing, man?
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for having me on, guys. It's a pleasure. And Ryan, I guess we've done a couple shows together with ABR now. They've gone great, and I love your handicapping style. Jackson, I'm excited to hear what you have to say as well, but thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited to get on into this. I'd wear a hat to be, with you guys, but a hat does not fit on my head. So I just got to rock the old hair. But yeah, we're talking a little bit pre-show, Ben. The weather's nice for right now, but it seems like it's about to get a lot worse.
Yeah, I'm doing this from home today. I'm looking out in my neighborhood. It's sunny, blue skies, really, really, really windy, like wildly windy. But geez, it's 80 degrees and sunny. I kind of wish we're out there today, but that's horse racing. It's kind of like baseball. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it rains. So,
I'm a Padres fan. We don't lose yet, so we're 6-0. So we're having a great start to the season.
Oh, Jackson, very good. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Out in his Angels yesterday, being 4-1, and then they immediately blew the game.
I almost jinxed that so hard. It was 6-3. We were up in the bottom of the 10th when I signed off. Then the Cardinals tied it 6-6. Of course, we were lucky to escape in that inning, and then we scored 3 more. It was a miracle we won. We're 4-1. It's not going to last another 4 days, but for right now, I'm going to enjoy it, and then I won't watch the rest of the season probably.
There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna just I'll probably tune out until October pretty soon on these Padres, but we re-signed Jackson Merrill, so I love to see it. But
one thing I gotta say, that is the most beautiful ballpark. One of two, the most beautiful ballparks I've ever been. I was a groom at Del Mar for a summer from Art Cassie. Nice. So we would go every week to those games, and oh my gosh, Petco Park, awesome. Man. Jeez, top notch. Awesome.
It is. No, it's a great facility. So I'm happy that's in our city out here. But out in your city, we got Keeneland coming up this weekend. We got opening day on Friday. We have the all-stakes pick 5 on Saturday, including the BLUEGRASS states, which we're going to get into right now. Worth mentioning, we're going to have on and off the turf opinions for this because it is more likely than not that these races are going to come off the turf. I'm looking at like feet of rain out in Lexington, pretty much. So I'd imagine that they're not going to, be swimming on the turf course. They'd probably take them off, but we'll get on into it. We'll give you our opinions, and then obviously just kind of keep track of things as we go. But race number 6, we'll start it off. We're going a mile, whether that's on the turf or dirt. It's to be decided. I went 7.94. Jackson went 6.31. Ben went 4.12. So Ben, we're going to start with you as our guest, of course.
Okay.
Fast market for John Terranova. Go ahead and take it away.
Well, okay. I just got to say, this is going to be off the turf. I'm about 90% certain. So that's how I bet this way. That's how I put my pick 5. I didn't really do a on turf, off turf. It's going to be off. So I figured, you know what? Why not start with a bang? The morning lines just came out, guys. I don't know if you saw that, like literally 10 minutes ago. But anyway, this horse is 30-1 morning line. So I'm going to take it. I just think the 1 and 2, first off, Nitrogen and Vixen, just powerhouse horses. They would be the only 2 horses I would even add on if it was only turf. But I'm going to add this 4 in here. It's a maiden, but John Terranova, he's so sneaky with these little horses, and he just gets this value all the time. And Jaime Torres, he doesn't have a whole lot of experience at Keeneland, but I kind of believe in him, so I'm just going to throw him in there. This is all just a pick 5, and obviously I added the 1 and 2, just even if it's off the turf, just their class. But I also added the 6, totally justified for Rusty Arnold, who, if you all remember, had an amazing October meet, last fall. So I think he's got Luis Saez on, which is huge plus, first time riding. It's coming off a tough Breeders' Cup turf, a juvenile turf, finishing 8th by just 5 lengths. But before that, if you take that race out, second by a nose in the Grade 2 Jessamine, won the PG Johnson. You know, he's has yet to win over dirt, but at least he has two solid equibase speed figures of a 70 and 67. So that's what I went with. It's all tactical. I don't even know if I could give a top in this race. I would just rather hit it.
Without a doubt, it's pretty impossible to have a top pick when we don't know the scratches, we don't know the condition of the track, we don't know a whole lot of details about what's going on right now. But that is excellent insight. We're going to stick with the 6, Jackson, as I throw it out to you because you have number 6 Totally Justified on top.
Yeah, a little bit of a host fail. I didn't realize we were doing this race because I heard we're doing the late pick 5, and I just 99.9% of sequences are the last 5 races. So I looked at this race at about 9:29. I do like this horse on the turf, though. This is one of my favorite angles where you have these horses that are running as 2-year-olds and running numbers that fit pretty well in this race, even today, with compared to what these other 3-year-olds are running 5 months later. So if she runs back those numbers, she'll be very tough. If she's improved at all, she's the horse to beat, in my opinion. She's got the tactical speed, blinkers on. Obviously we're not 100% sure. We're not really expecting this race to be on the grass, but if it is, I think she's a big contender. And she has some dirt form too that wasn't bad. It's not like she was running awful and stepped up huge on the turf. So I think I would use her as well on the dirt. And 6-1 seems about right. It's tough to guess what the odds are going to be though. Without
I can't imagine trying to make the morning lines for this weekend.
Not right now. Yeah, that would be. I believe it's Nick Tamro who makes the morning lines. That's an impossible task right now.
Poor guy. Yeah, he's been stretching this week.
I know, exactly. I would imagine that if this race comes off, your post-time favorite is most likely the number 7, Liam in the Dust, who is my top pick in here, assuming this race comes off the turf. I know that last effort was abysmal, I think would be the only way I could describe it. But, failed as the favorite, maybe just needed that race off the bench from his 2-year-old season. Her 2-year-old season, excuse me. So I'll give this one another shot here. We've Jackson, you and I actually went over this race or talked about this horse on one of our shows for the Darley Alcibiades over the fall at Keeneland, and I believe this was your top pick in that race. So you and I are both picking this horse I'm picking this horse rather coming in off a 23 length defeat, which is a little bit tough, but this horse has a lot of efforts to get back to that go around 2 turns that look decent. Mainly just kind of one in the Demoiselle that's decent, but has faced just much better horses. Again, I'll draw the line through the last. I'll give Rudy Brissett the benefit of the doubt with Johnny V hopping aboard here, second off the bench, and just has some better dirt form to get back to. And I think, again, this race is likely coming off. So Bernardini on the bottom with Liam's map on top should handle the sloppy off going with pretty much no issues. So I'll take Liam in the Dust on top. Ben, we're going to throw it back to you as we go to the rail horse Nitrogen, an impressive winner last time out in Tampa in the Florida Oaks.
Oh yeah, just the class of this filly is unreal. I mean, obviously she's never been on dirt, most likely never will be, but we'll see, on Saturday. But just such a classy filly, and to win that or run third in that Atama just by 3/4 of a length at 41-1, then comes right back. Bigger step up, grade 1 to a better grade 1, Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf, and runs third by 2.5 lengths. I mean, I just think that was really impressive, and I figured, okay, she's probably not going to be the same horse after that. Repeat that. Well, she's just won twice in a row. So, and Jose Ortiz on the top of his game. He swept Saturday's Fantasy and Arkansas Derby as well over there at Oaklawn. Love Mark Cass. He used to work for him. Great trainer. And I mean, you got the other Ortiz brother on the other one. So obviously you're going to have to add both if this is on the turf. But that was my thinking and logic in it. I apologize. Usually I'm a lot more stats heavy. Did not have the time to get those numbers for you guys. But
it's all good. No worries there. I mean, the stats in these races may not matter as much just because, with these races coming off the turf, it's going to be all over the place. So, yeah, I like the number 1 Nitrogen. Certainly, if Nitrogen stays, or if this race stays on the turf, Nitrogen would be a top play just based on how she's carried her form, race by race, and she's really never had a bad effort in those 5 career starts. Next horse, Jackson, I'll throw it out to you. We're going to go to the number 3, Fion for Brad Cox and Juan Machado.
Yeah, so I kind of view her in the same scope as Nitrogen, whereas looking at these time form numbers, they're pretty similar. I mean, they're only a couple points difference, and Fion is listed at 8-1 on the morning line if this stays on the grass, and I think there's a lot of speed in here, so it does set up for her kick. She's run well enough turf course a couple times before, so if this race happens to stay on the grass. I think this is probably the one I'm going to use more prominently, just because she's going to be a much bigger price, and I think she's going to get the right kind of setup in here. As far as the dirt goes, no idea. Cox horses can usually do both, but it's tough to say. Nothing to add about nitrogen. One more I'll talk about super briefly if it does go to the dirt. Number 5, Good Temper. Proven over this racetrack, has speed. Walden won every single race he ran in, it seemed like, at the fall meet, so I'd be curious to see if he replicates that. And this is the horse that introduced me to our mutual friend Matt Miller, where I made the throwaway statement, and then he hammered this horse, and it went for fun, and he had the day of his life, it seemed like. So it's interesting.
It's interesting with a Mike Smith on a Will Walden as well. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know that I have either. Good notes on the number 5, Good Temper. Next up, well, I'll go to the number 9 real quick, which should be, oh man, I lost count here. Foxtastic. Thank you for Josie Carroll, Julian Leperoux. This one mainly picked because of the Speightstown on top. I like the race that she came back with at Turfway Park off the layoff, winning by 10. Bourbon Memory, who she dead heated with, came back to win on closing day at Turfway Park. A horse that Jackson and I have had, I think, each of her 4 wins at Turfway Park this season, maybe. But either way, I think if this race comes off the turf, Speightstown on top, Medaglia d'Oro, bred to love the slop there. So should enjoy the 2-turn distance, should have a good time with it, to have some fun out there. Again, this race is pretty impossible. This thing comes off the turf. It's just a toss-up of who stays in, who scratches out, and what this race looks like. So everything could change for sure once we get updated details, but I like Foxtastic a little bit if we are in the mud.
Well, they were definitely honing in on this race. They had that stake scratch for the Cincinnati Trophy Stakes, and they decided to go to the AOC probably just to go to this race. So something else to consider.
Absolutely, without a doubt. So we'll find out more as the day approaches. But now let's move on to a dirt race. It's going to be the 7 Furlong Commonwealth. It's going as race number 7 on Saturday. I'll throw the picks up on the screen. I went 6, 8, 10. Jackson 6, 2, 5. Ben went 2, 5, 6. So we're all a little similar with our thoughts on the 6. But Ben, I'll start it with you with the very talented Montecino for Cherie DeVoe.
Yeah, okay. I didn't get the chance to see the morning lines. I know they're out. Actually, wait. Oh, it's not even out on race, but it doesn't matter. I guess a winner is a winner. But geez, look at this horse. I mean, 98 to 101. And here, what I think is the reason he's going to win. He hits that 111. It's just so hard for a horse to repeat that. So he has another race under his belt. Yeah, he regressed to a 102, still won. So I think he'll be able to progress again. He's 1 for 1 at Keeneland, horses for courses, 2 for 2 at the 7 furlong distance. Jose and Sherry DeVos, they are winning. Not too good in graded stakes, but I know at Keeneland they're very, very good together. So I don't know, I think she's just bringing all her fairgrounds horses up. She was kind of getting them ready for these Churchill and Keeneland meets. So I would be on the lookout for Sherry DeVos horses with Jose Ortiz is kind of my thought process.
Without a doubt, they are a scary duo. Jackson, you have this one in second. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, echo everything that Ben said. I mean, it's very obvious in here. He's listed at 3 to 1 in the morning line.
Oh wow!
I have a feeling
there's no way you're going to get
that. No way, right? No way.
Yeah, you're dreaming on that.
Well, I love Cherie. She's obviously very good, but she's becoming one of the most overbet trainers, like automatically. It seems like every time she has a horse that has any chance, I mean, they're just getting hammered out the windows. Which I get it. She's very, very good, but from a betting perspective, I usually want to try to take her on, and especially a race like this, I think there's a rival that has a pretty good shot in here in Hoist the Gold, who got really good at the end of 2023, early 2024. And then, they took him overseas, didn't work out. It wasn't quite the same horse. And rightfully so, they took him to the bench and gave him a little break. Came back and, he was fine in that spot. It was perfectly respectable comeback spot. Won that day against an easier field. Did what he was supposed to do. And I think we're going to see a step forward and start number 2 off the bench. He's clearly a horse that thrives in the mud. I mean, we saw what he did in the Cigar Mile a couple of years back. He was phenomenal in that spot. And, for graded stakes for sprint race, I didn't think there's really that much speed. I mean, there's speed, but there's not like true burners in this race. I think he'll be pretty close to the pace. He'll be in a comfortable spot up there, and he'll have every chance to get the job done. And he's landed 2 in the morning line. I think that seems about fair to me. I would be very willing to take him at that price.
Without a doubt, we saw this race really similarly to Jackson. Hoist the Gold obviously loves the mud. Second off the bench for Dallas Stewart. This horse loves Keeneland. Has never been out of the exact in the 3 tries, and he should just come on and progress nicely from that last out off the bench effort. So I'm looking for him to take a step forward. You mentioned not a ton of burners in here. So for going the 7 furlongs is also a distance that this horse kind of likes. 6 in the money, finishes from 8 tries here. So I definitely want to give this one a hard look. This is going to be a solid A play for me on top. As we kind of progress. Ben, I know you have this one in third. Did you have any thoughts you wanted to add?
I think this is the most wide open race of the card. And so that's why I went super deep. So I think I put 2, 5, 6, 8, 9 for my pick 5, the deepest I went of any of the races. I think there's just a lot of talent. You know, I obviously I said what I said about Montalcino, but I agree with you guys with Hoist the Gold. Nutella fella, I saw a video of him galloping this morning down the lane. Jeez, the wheeze, was he looking all right? And I mean, you got Extra Anejo out there who with Pratt and Asmussen who loves Keeneland this distance. Wesley Ward wins at 40% in sprints at Keeneland. So I mean, there's just so many different things that could happen, especially on a sloppy track. Yeah. So I would go deep in here, boys. So.
Yeah, without a doubt. My third choice was the number 10 Extra Anejo. Obviously a horse that deserves a strong look. This one's going to be coming off a bit of a layoff since last September. So 7 furlongs is a tricky distance, especially against these horses that, are in good form or rounding into really good form. So it's going to be certainly a test for Extra Anejo to accomplish this off the bench. But I think if he takes a step forward into his 5-year-old season, he certainly loves the 7 furlong distance, being 2 for 2 at it. Has a run over Keeneland and a win as well. And this horse seems to always fire a really good effort. And if he doesn't fire that A effort, he's pretty much off the board, as he has 4 wins and a second from the 8 starts. And then the rest are, he's kind of back in the field. So I gave Extra Anejo a look as well. Jackson, I guess we did talk about the number 2 already, but I will throw it out to you so we can talk about the number 5 Nutella fella, who Ben just mentioned had a pretty snappy work the other day.
Yeah, well, like I said, sometimes I don't think there's a whole lot of true speed in here, but these jockeys, they're handicapping this race too. And I think sometimes when they see that, a lot of them get aggressive at the same time. And sometimes the pace really heats up unexpectedly. And I think this is the horse that, if that does happen, is going to be the one that can take advantage, as he has in the past. His best races obviously come from way out of it. And we know he can close. Is he fast enough to win this race if the pace is, moderate or just maybe average? No, definitely not. But if they go crazy up front, he's got a big kick. And I like the last race. I don't know how he won. He was all over the place looking for room the entire stretch. Finally got out and got up nicely at the wire. Carmel Chip came back and I think ran about 10 points faster. I think a lot of horses out of the race have come back to improve their numbers. So maybe that one's not quite as bad as it seems. Again, this is more of a saver for me. I do think he needs a lot of things to go his way, but at 12-1, I wouldn't mind having it.
Wow, 12-1
having him as a saver.
Yeah, 12-1 is certainly a decent price on that horse.
Yeah. You're dead right about Luis Saez being aggressive, by the way. 100% agree on that. Gosh, yeah, the more I look at that horse, he really has a really good shot. If he can return to form from June of 2024.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. That's the question, right?
Yeah.
It is, but he's third off the bench here. I would agree with you, Jackson, that I think that last race, I think the figures are coming back pretty strong. There's 3 next out winners already, Carmel Chip, and then I believe the 6th and 7th place finishers also came back to win their next out race. Last one we'll talk about is the number 8, Hear Me Song for Stinson and Edgar Morales. This one I wanted to give a look to. I know this one's also coming off a bench since last running in the Grade 2 Phoenix here at Keeneland. Seems to really like the Keeneland track, being 4 for 5 in the exacta there. 7 furlong specialist as well. So I think the distance suits him. He can kind of be placed wherever. He's a little bit tactical. He probably prefers to be forward. So I'm not sure where exactly I want to see this one placed. But Jackson, what's the morning line on Hear Me Song?
8-1.
8-1. That's pretty fair. I would take that for sure. And I think, again, I'm in agreement with you guys. This is a pretty deep race in terms of competition. There's not a whole lot of speed. So it's not going to, it's not surely looking for a closer or surely looking for a horse to wire. Could come from kind of wherever. So I want to take some prices in here. So Hear Me Song is going to fit that bill for me.
Yeah. I loved him in the Phoenix that day. That was, if I remember correctly, that was a very speed favoring racetrack. He had no chance that day. So I don't hate that pick at all.
So that is race number 7. I went 6-8-10. Jackson went 6-2-5. Ben went 2-5-6. We'll move on now to race number 8. It's another graded stakes on the dirt. We're going 7 furlongs this time. It's the Madison for the fillies. Picks are up. I went 6-8-2. Jackson went 3-6-7. Ben went 2-6-8. Jackson, as the only person to have the number 3 on the board here, we got to start with you with the number 3 Harbor Springs for Greg Foley.
Yeah, looking at this morning line, she's 30-1. I can't believe she's 30-1 on the morning line. I like that quite a bit. I don't think this is the greatest field ever. I mean, who are you really afraid of in this spot? I mean, look, you're looking at Emery, she's run 95s consistently. I'm looking at Scylla, she's run 95s consistently. Justique, low 90s. Like these aren't the greatest fillies and mares in the world. Horse just ran a 90 speed figure, and she keeps improving. I mean, this is an up and comer that I think can run really well in this spot. She's obviously going the right way. Her last 2 starts, she comes from off the pace. We're closing into slow paces, and she's getting those kind of numbers. Like, imagine what she can do if it heats up for her and she actually gets the right kind of setup where she's dragged along into a faster pace. I can't believe she's 30-1. I'm a little baffled at that. I would love that. Maybe I'm going to single her now at 30-1 because that seems a little crazy to me. I think there's
7 straight increasing speed figures as well.
Right, and again, there's a lot of things to like about this horse, I think, and just at 30-1, I'm going to make a nice little bet on her. A lot of speed to set it up for her, going in the right direction. She's proven she can handle a race without Lasix. She did it way back in the Beaumont. She ran a good second career top at the time. She's run well over a sloppy racetrack if it does come up that way. Brian Hernandez Jr. Can ride at this track. We all know that. So no problem at all with this horse at a giant number.
I like it. 30-1 is a massive number.
Yeah.
I had no idea she was going to be that high on the line. So I'm definitely going to have to include this one in some day of tickets once I see, the scratches and how everything plays out. But that's an excellent start to this race. We'll go right to the inside to a horse, Emery, who is, always firing her A race. Ben, I'll throw it out to you as you have this one on top.
Well, being local here now, I've gotten to see her quite a bit at Keeneland. Well, not quite a bit, but I was right next to her in the paddock for that Raven run, and then I followed her out to the winner's circle, and she just, wow. I mean, just a stunner. Horses for courses, loves Keeneland 2 for 2. This distance, 2 wins, 2 seconds. Just nice progression at 97, 101, 103, 103. Barely lost to Mystic Lake in that inside information on Pegasus Day. I know she'll be the favorite. What is she, Jackson?
She's 3-1.
What?
Second choice.
Huh.
All right. Well, okay.
Oh, I know the favorite. Yeah.
I'm surprised. And then you got to pull it out to Mystic Lake out there. If you're going to add Emery, you have to add the 2. But I just handicapped this race as a pick 5. I don't know if there's a whole lot you can make here because I hope you hit your 30-1. That would be awesome. Okay. I am rooting for that. But in my mind, I think these fillies and mares are deceivingly classy. So I just don't see anybody beating Emery, Scylla, or Mystic Lake, but I'm rooting for your 30-1 for you.
Yeah, me too. Let's go out to Scylla, though. This is my top choice in the race. Jackson, I assume you didn't have this horse on top just because you're still upset from the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint, which I am too. But yeah, Scylla, obviously uber talented horse, always seems to fire a pretty big shot. This is going to be her 11th race, and she's coming in off of that Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint layoff. Should fire big. Obviously, we mentioned kind of 7 furlongs is difficult to come back at, but seeing Flavia Pratt hop aboard has to be a vote of confidence. And Jackson, if we're going off those paired up buyer tops, she has that angle working for her coming in here. Anything to add on Scylla?
This horse gives me nightmares. I would have won. I think would have been about 250,000 if she would have won the Filly Mare Sprint. So I invite you to go watch the replay at the head on. She was coming on. She was going. There was 4 across the track. She's kind of inching ahead on the outside, and then I think it was Ways and Means just knocks the horse next to her sideways. Scylla gets knocked sideways, and she lost all her momentum, and that was kind of that in that spot. She's very obvious in this race if she's cranked up. 8-5 in the morning line seems a little low to me, but I mean she's obviously a major contender.
Yeah, she is, and after this race, I believe it was the turf sprint in which there was quite an upset winner. If that was continuing the sequence, I wonder who let you have Starlust on that ticket. But we'll move it on to I'll talk about horse number 8. That is Mystic Lake in here. Ben, you mentioned if you're including Emery, you kind of got to include Mystic Lake. They're coming out of the same race in here. Kind of an oddly run race. That inside information is they were all kind of just jostling for position towards the wire, and it was a good race coming down to the finish. Mystic Lake obviously pulled it out by a neck. Winner of her last 2. Pretty much same angle, same buyer speed figures as Scylla, paired up those 96s, so could take a step forward here for Saffie Joseph. This one had another, distance specialist kind of angle as well, as 4 for 5 in the winner's circle at this 7 furlong distance, with one more second place from those 5 tries. Obviously, it's a vote of confidence that Irad Ortiz sticks aboard, but another major player in here. Jackson, what's the morning line on Mystic Lake?
7-2.
Interesting. Okay. I don't hate that.
No, I would have expected her to have been the favorite. Okay. Wow.
I mean, if you are against Scylla and you can use a 3-1 and a 7-2 to try and beat her in that sequence,
I'm not saying I'm against Scylla. I handicap this as a pick 5. Like,
of course,
it's just different if you're going to pick to win in the race. It
is,
but
without a doubt, it's different. Obviously, we're all rooting for Harbor Springs because that would be quite the boom.
Oh yeah, 100%. But Mystic Lake is pretty dang good at this distance, like you said.
Yeah.
I mean, and her and Emery have just been going against each other. I mean, she only lost by 5 3/4 lengths to Torpedo Anna, if you want to say that. She beat my main squeeze in here before. I ran up. I love that. I mean, Saffie's winning at 30% in dirt sprints in the past year. So just a lot of really good things going. It's impossible to throw them out for an exotic type wager, or her out, excuse me. But that's kind of my thought.
I like it. Jackson, we're going to go to you. Justique, a familiar runner for us out on the West Coast, who's finally doing what she wants to do, and that's sprinting on the dirt of all things.
Yeah. Well, I agree with Ben in the sense that if you like Emery, you got to like Mystic Lake. And if you don't like Emery, then you can't like Mystic Lake either. So I'm going to try to beat those two. They haven't really been improving the last 5 or 6 months. They've kind of been running the same numbers. So I think I'm going to try some horses that are on the up and coming. And, apparently this Justique is just a horse that wants to run one turn on the dirt. Who knew?
Who knew?
She's done nothing wrong since going to the East Coast. Hasn't really gotten great setups in either of those races, and she still got the job done both times. Don't really know what her ceiling is at this point, and I'm not quite sure she's going to get the setup she needs to come from dead last in this spot, but there's no doubt she's in good form right now, and 9-2 seems like a fair price to me. So I'm going to use
I would say I would agree with you that I'm not sure about the setup she's going to get, but I think that extra furlong does nothing but help her. Just because I think that last furlong, obviously the 7 furlongs a tricky distance. She's one that's going to be closing. She seems to really love this one turn sprint distance. So 7 furlongs might be right in her wheelhouse. She might be one to watch for going forward, but she's one that could definitely take another major step forward. That's
to add, Jax. I'm sorry, just one last thing. She is actually the classiest mare in the race. Average class of a 104, ranked first on race lens. So there you go. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You're all good. Love the insight. They just need to find out what she wanted to do, and turns out that is sprinting on the dirt, which being out of Justify and out of a Bernardini mare, I get why they went long on the turf, and I get why they went long on the dirt, and turns out not breeding's not always everything. Go ahead, Jack.
She's actually 4 for 4 on one turn on the dirt, and 0 for 13 everything else. So I think Cherie's got her figured out.
That's weird. That's crazy.
It's bizarre, but I think Cherie's got her figured out. So looking forward to seeing this race run on Saturday. Race number 8 one more time. I went 6-8-2. Jackson went 3-6-7. Ben went 2-6-8. We'll move on now to the Shakertown. It's a grade 2, 5.5 furlongs listed on the turf. However, it's likely coming off, but we'll see. I went 5-8-9. Jackson went 4-1-10. Ben went 3-5-8. Ben, we're going to start with you. We're going to go to the number 3, Arzak, looking to, I believe, repeat in this race.
Yeah. I mean, just it seemed like they were praying for this race to be taken off the turf, and I think they got their wish from the racing gods answered. It's just that this is a dirt horse. I mean, just through and through, and 2 for 2 at this distance. Never been at Keeneland before, but I mean, coming off 2 really nice wins, ran a 108, 109 last time. Equibase speed figures winning by combined 5 lengths for those 2. Ran against Bookham Dano world record. I mean, it just seems like a classy horse who's really in here for the dirt. So that's why I went with and Jose Ortiz. And let me see. Not too good. Jose Ortiz and Steve Asmussen, 12% in graded stakes together in the past 3 years. So, but anyway, regardless, I'm still going to go with Valentine Candy as my top. And top for dirt only. But
I like it. Valentine Candy was also my top pick if this race was coming off the turf for all the same reasons. I mean, this is clearly a dirt horse. 6 for 12 on the fast track, 2 for 2 over the wet track. Again, you mentioned all of it. Another sprinter that is out of Justify that likes to sprint on the dirt. So we were just talking about Justique. Here's another one in Valentine Candy.
Yeah. Well, it's showing turf sprints right now, but turf sprints Justify Progeny is winning at 18% lifetime.
Yeah.
But I don't know about dirt. Let me see dirt.
Here, I can check dirt right now out of Justify. We're looking at 21%.
There you go.
Oddly enough, Justify is his best category is dirt sprinting. So who would have thought? But Jackson, I'm gonna throw it out. Sorry,
Justique would have thought.
Yeah, Justique would have thought. He can talk. Justique's telling him all of that. This horse, you'd have to imagine, is gonna scratch out if this horse comes off the turf because they seem to be, shipping over. But Jackson, take it away for your top pick if this race were to stay on the turf.
Yeah, this is on the turf. I think this is gonna be the horse everyone kind of gravitates to because it's going to be very wet if they do stay on. And this horse obviously has handled it several times overseas. And he has done it against top company. I mean, you see the Ascot form, you see Longchamp in there, a lot of great stakes placings and even a great stakes winner. So a lot of things to like about this horse. Flavien Prat bothers to ride this horse. I think if this does stay on the grass, he's listed at 5-1. I think he might even go favored and probably will be over bet in this race. So a little part of me wants this race to come off the turf just so it becomes a little bit more chaotic, I would say, and be a much more interesting race because I don't really know where else you're supposed to go if this race does stay on, just because none of these horses really have form over soft going, and it's tough to handicap those kind of races.
It is pretty tough, so it's typical for people to gravitate towards those Euro runners. And you see the running lines. He's running against some really nice horses. You mentioned it, against horses like Big Evs, Highfield Princess, and of course the best horse of them all, Starlust, back in the John Smith City Walls Stakes. What a horse she is. So I like it though. If this race stays on the turf, without a doubt, she deserves a huge look. We'll go out now to the number 8 horse, Petkoff, for Brittany Russell and Brian Hernandez aboard. Ben, you and I both have this horse in our top 3 somewhere, so I'll throw it out to you.
That's crazy.
What do you like with the number 8 Petkoff?
Brittany Russell's at like 32% for the past year in dirt sprints. So that was kind of what I honed in on. Likes the distance, 2 wins and a second and a third from 5 starts, 1 for 1 on the dirt a long time ago, but has that capability, has it in her. Has not really been working out too well, which is a little bit worrisome. Just, to see a dead last 48 out of 48, 4 furlongs and 51.2. I don't know, not my favorite. But I don't know, Brian Hernandez Jr. up. It just seemed like, all right, I got to add her in there. What are the morning line on that one?
20-1.
Oh, nice.
All right. Well, then absolutely. Yeah.
Off that last effort was off the turf and then N2X condition. Ran I believe it's a career best Beyer speed figure of 95. I know, those off the turf efforts. I know the off the turf efforts can, maybe don't look too closely at him, but ran against horses like Gunner Bay and Band for Life. Both of those are dirt horses. So Petkoff really, showed up and showed out. Hopefully that speed figure sticks. But if this race comes off the turf, I think his running style is going to fit pretty nicely. As far as if he's going to handle the wet surface, I'm not sure, but being out of Munnings and out of a Sky Mesa, I'd be fairly confident that he's going to handle that okay. But again, another one who he kind of handled the dirt in his last time start, so at least he has that kind of recency going for him. But a horse that took quite some time to break his maiden and didn't do it until switching into the Brittany Russell barn, but ever since has really turned into a good horse with 2 wins, a nice third. So one I definitely want to give a look to if this race does come off the turf. If this race stays on, I'm probably not going to go his way. But coming off the turf, Petkoff, I think, is going to be a nice price. And, certainly going to come down from that morning line, probably in the range of 5-6 to 1, I would imagine, maybe even lower based on that last form. But again, Petkoff, I think, deserves a look here in a jumbled up race. Jackson, I'll throw it out to you to talk about the number 10 Coppola with our favorite jockey, Mario Gutierrez aboard.
Yeah, look, this is more of a dirt pick. I don't think he's going to be one that will appreciate the soft going. I think he really likes he really liked that firm turf course over at Gulfstream. He's not getting that on Saturday. I can promise you that. So this is more of a dirt pick. He's run well in the dirt before. He was 1-5 that day. He was supposed to win, but he did what he was supposed to do. Got a good strong number with a 95 in that race. He's drawn outside. Again, it's tough to know if he's actually going to stay in if this does stay on the dirt, but if he does, he's one I would probably be used.
Yeah, he has some really good dirt for him. So I'm with you that this is a horse I'd give a stronger look to if this race were to come off. But as of right now, I gotta I don't know. I mean, I like some others with some prior dirt form, so that's kind of where I went. But certainly, he's another one that I'd give a small look to.
2 for 2 on that wet dirt, by the way. Jackson's finding these things. The more I look at him,
I know.
I'm like, all right,
gotta go to him.
Good guy to find those off turf races. I want Mischievous Rogue is another horse I wanted to give a look to. The number 9. I'm not sure the morning line on this one, but it should be pretty generous. But I like his efforts on the off the turf efforts, looking way back at Fairgrounds to December of 2023 and then February going back to back. I know that that second off the turf start pretty rough with the 68 buyer, but got a 95 on time form, so that's more respectable, I suppose. So mainly just has some form to get back to. He's in decent form right now, so if this race were to come off, I think this is one I'd give a good look to. Jackson, do you have the morning line for us?
Which horse? Sorry.
The number 9 Mischievous Rogue.
30-1.
There we go. Yeah.
30-1. And Brittany Vandenberg shipping into Keeneland is such a thing to look into, and yeah.
It certainly is. She can be sneaky, and she certainly ships in with some intention. But this runner had 2 decent efforts over the Turfway Park synthetic course, losing to Epic Ride, and Arrest Me Red and No Balls in his next start in the Big Daddy Stakes. So certainly something that I want to give a look to, because if he ships in here and he does stay with this race coming off the turf, certainly a chance to get at least a piece of the pie, if not the whole thing. So wanted to give that one a look. Jackson, I'm going to throw it out to you to close us out here with this race as we go to the number 1, Run Carson.
Yeah, Run Carson's one I think I would use on both surfaces. He's in a really good form right now. He's done nothing wrong his last 3 starts, really. I love the versatile running style. He can go straight to the front and wire the field, or he can come from way off the base. So I love these types that are versatile, especially in a situation like this where there's so many unknowns about what's going to happen on Saturday. So definitely a use for me. He is listed at 6-1. And then if this race does come off, I am also going to use number 11, Think Big, on the dirt. Seems like a horse that's, again, going in the right direction. Paired up the buyer tops 2 and 3 back, and then we saw a big improved performance last time. Deep closer, and I think if this race does come off, I think a lot of the speedier types will stay on. I think he's the one you're going to want staying out in the center of the track, trying to get away from some of that kickback, and he'll be the one coming late from the back of the pack.
And beat the 8 Petkoff last time out as well. Yeah, that's just a tough post though, man. Way out there in 5.5. Oof.
Yeah. Well, if it goes to the dirt, it's going to be 6 or 7 horses probably.
Exactly.
Yeah, true.
So I like the thinking though, but yeah, if this one stays on the turf, certainly going to be tough, but has a couple decent numbers to get to. But if this one comes off the turf, you'd have to imagine there's going to be some scratches to the inside, which should help him out from the post position perspective. But that is race number 9. I went 5, 8, 9. Jackson went 4, 1, 10. Ben went 3, 5, 8. And we got to move on to race number 10. It's the 1 1/8 Bluegrass Stakes. It's the feature on Keeneland Saturday's card. It's the reason we're talking about this card. Other than the other grade 1 and 4 other graded stakes, this is the main event, so to speak. So I'll throw the picks up on the screen. They're up there right now. I went 3, 6, 5. Jackson went 3, 1, 6. Ben went 6, 1, 4. Obviously, a lot of love goes to the number 6 Chancer McPatrick. So Ben, we'll start with you with a horse that's looking to take a big step up again, second off the bench.
All right, first off, this is my single on the pick 5. I know it's bad practice to single in your last leg, but I did it anyway. All right. And back on my podcast, Aquabase Inside Track podcast, we do every Thursday. I call this horse a future Hall of Famer back in September after he won the grade 1 hopeful after losing an iron and getting bumped and hitting the gate as well. I got a lot of flack for that. But I'm not going to give the Pete Rose treatment. I've consistently believed in this horse, and I still do. All right. I have no idea what happened in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I really don't. No excuse. I'm not going to, say that. No excuse,
I would excuse it completely, to be honest.
Okay. All right. I mean, Citizen Bowl just had a dream trip. I mean, East Avenue didn't go. That horse is done, I think. We can talk about that, I'm sure, a little bit. But I thought the Tampa Bay Derby, he lost to Owen Almighty, who I think is a true sprinter. So, I think he's going to come back in a big way. And I think he really, really, really wants the points. So he's going to be going hard for it. And also Flanagan Racing. What a cool story. Sean Flanagan is dying from cancer. All he wanted to do was own thoroughbred racehorses. So he did. And this is one of them. So, how could you be not be romantic about horse racing? So all Chancer McPatrick, my boy, 100% all in.
Exactly. Well, Ben, I like the pick. I like Chance McPatrick. He's an uber talented horse. I mentioned it. I'm willing to excuse the Breeders' Cup Juvenile completely. It was Citizen Bull and Gaming. They controlled the entire race. They ran around there. They just had a good time. And it really didn't leave Chancer to do much else. Closing on the Del Mar track is not really something that's easy or effective to do unless you're really, really talented and unless you make an early move and get a lead at like the quarter pole. So Chancer just never really lifted a hoof that day. Obviously comes back in his 3-year-old season. He was a little fresh that day. He was a lot closer to the pace than we're used to seeing him. I want to see how he comes in here second off the layoff, but certainly want to give a close look to. Jackson, you and I have the same top pick in here. I love it. This is my single in the pick 5, actually. Jackson, I forget if you singled this horse or not as well, but go ahead and take it away with the number 3 Burnham Square. You did single.
I can't remember if I did or not either. I think I did. No, look, I mean, I've been all over the Florida horses pretty much all winter. I think they've been pretty good out there, and I loved his Holy Bull. I thought he ran huge in that spot. Didn't break great, brushed up, had a check, rushed up again, navigated traffic. He has that athleticism that I think you need to have for a race like the Kentucky Derby, where those grindy types that come from way out of it are in a lot of trouble because there's 20 horses in the race and there's a lot of stop and start. I think he's the one that has a big shot in that race because he's able to stop and start and move around in tight spots. As far as the race on this upcoming Saturday, I think there's a lot of speed in the race. I think it's going to set up for him. The one horse is going to go. The one horse is going to go. Owen Almighty has absolutely no choice but to go. East Avenue, I think, is done, but he's got to go too. I mean, there's a lot of horses that are a lot of speed in this race, and I think he's going to get the right kind of setup that he needs. He's paired up those Beyer tops. That race in the Fountain of Youth doesn't look quite as bad after Sovereignty ran well again, as did the third place finisher Neo Equus. I don't know how to say it, but those horses both ran well on Saturday, and he just never really looked comfortable in the Fountain of Youth. It was quite different from the Holy Bull, where he looked like he was going to win pretty much the whole way. He looked good. So I wonder if he's just a horse that maybe didn't love the Gulfstream racetrack, but just ran well over it just because he's that talented. I think getting back to Keeneland will be good for him. I don't think he'll have any kind of issue with the wet racetrack as well. So he's run well over this track. I think he's very live, and he's going to be the right kind of price. I think I want in this race.
Yeah, if Burnham Square is 4-1, he's gonna take enough money to make it through the meet for me at Keeneland, because I love this horse. 2 back in the Holy Bull, beat Tapan Street, who obviously just came back to win the Grade 1 Florida Derby. Jackson, you mentioned how the form was held up in the Fountain of Youth, with Sovereignty being really good, firing just what I would expect is kind of like a B effort for him. Coming back in a race like the Florida Derby where he didn't need to win. Neo Equus, you just mentioned, came back to run a nice, I believe it was 3rd or 4th, or ran, very respectable in the Florida Derby as well. However, I need you guys to sell me on River Thames, because I have never been more against a horse like this. So, Ben, I'll actually throw it to you first to give me what you like about River Thames, the number 1 horse.
I mean, just a steady, not really steady progression, but first start, 96 equibase speed figure, then a 91, and then it gets a 98 last time out. But he loses by a neck to Sovereignty, which very well could be the next Derby winner, even though he did lose the Florida Derby. And I don't think it mattered to him that much. I think he just wanted to run well. And he did run well. So I think Sovereignty is way more of a horse than we saw last Saturday. And to run second by just a neck to him, only coming out of an allowance optional claimer, I think's very impressive. I love IRAD. Pletcher wins at 24% and graded stakes at Keeneland the past 3 years. At least I have one stat for you to show. But I mean, he's breezing well at a nice bullet. I know it's Palm Beach Downs, which is essentially just Todd Pletcher's training center, but bullet nonetheless. I had a hard time, just singling Chancer because I am so scared of River Thames. But I'm still going to do it. So Chancer all the way. Yeah.
I like it. I don't know. This horse, I'm really not sold on whatsoever. Jackson, I'll throw it out to you in just a second here. I just thought, I know this horse only lost by a neck to Sovereignty, but he just kind of looked like he idled towards the end. I don't know if maybe that's just kind of immaturity and just lost focus maybe a little bit. And maybe he'll he'll grow and he'll learn from that. But I don't know. This is a horse that I'm very willing to beat me. Doesn't seem to be bred to love to go long. His dam, this is the first foal out of the dam proportionality, but the dam was all sprinting McLean's music. We normally think of as a sprinter, but can definitely produce both. So this is one that I'm going to be against just from the inside post as well. But Jackson, go ahead. You also have this horse in second.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the case earlier. If you like Burnham Square, you kind of have to like River Thames just because he beat him last time and he was up on the pace and he won the pace battle over a horse that came back and ran well. I agree with you guys. I don't know if he really wants to go 9 furlongs, but you could also make a case, like you also said, Ryan, that he was just kind of idle in the stretch and lost his way. Maybe that was what would happen, and it wasn't the distance that got him. The big thing for me is just he's the Moorline favorite. I think he'll probably will go off favored. And I don't know if I want to take a short price on him. I have him in second because I needed someone in second, and I'm very much against some of the others in here. But it's as far as the win end and like the horizontals, it's going to be all number 3 in this one.
I like it. Yeah. Win end for me, I'm in this exact same boat as you, Burnham Square. And this is the horse that I'm leaving out of my exact is. He could finish in third. I could see a third place finish. And I believe a third gets him pretty close to in the gate. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the second in the Fountain of Youth gets him 25 and a third in the Bluegrass gets him 25. And if you have 50, you're definitely in the gate. So that's at least my thinking. And I also just think there's some other horses that maybe just have a higher ceiling. Horses like Chancer, who I think we haven't seen the best of. Horses like Burnham Square, myself and Jackson's top pick. So I'm fading River Thames in here, but that doesn't mean he can't win. Certainly wouldn't be the first time I'm fading a horse and that horse wins for fun. So that's racing. It happens to everybody. Sorry, what?
What?
I didn't hear what you said.
I said it happens quite often.
It does, I guess. Ben, I want to throw it out to you. You have the number 4, Owen Almighty, in third on your picks here.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and take it away. This is a horse that the ownership is pretty much the whole reason they're in here. Brian Lynch wanted this horse kind of in the Pat Day type area, but I mean, that was a nice win last time out. So what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'll guess if Brian Lynch knows what he's talking about horses more than I do, I guess I'll trust Brian Lynch and I think he's not a 1 1/8, 1 1/4 type of horse. Yeah, he beat my Chancer last time out, but he beat him with speed going out there. I mean, it was impressive, 23-8 first fraction, but I like him the fact that he's so consistent. He just never really run a really bad race before. So I think he'll be up there now that I see he is the second choice at 3-1. So I couldn't bet that at 3-1, and I don't know. 2 of his 3 wins were at Tampa. I mean, and the other, yeah. So I don't know. I'll just put it out there. I'll throw him in there as my third, but I left him off the ticket.
I'm with you. Another horse that I have left off the ticket that we got to talk about is the number 5, East Avenue. This horse I did pick in third, kind of as like a suck up third. I'm only 3-6 really in here. East Avenue I picked because I want to give this one more chance to show that he's got something in the tank still, because I want to believe it. Blinkers come on for this occasion for Brendan Walsh. Last time started okay, ran like he was still a good horse, and then just kind of faded out of it pretty badly. But, they went sub 47 to the half, and he was pretty close to that. That was the day Magnitude freaked over a pretty speed favoring course. So to see him kind of fold that badly was a little rough to see. I want to give him one more look. I want to give him one more chance to see if he can't, build upon that last effort. Maybe he just really needed one. But it's the old, off the Breeders' Cup juvenile. I'll excuse that. He went to his nose out of the gate. So you can scratch that, and I'll scratch first off the bench. I'll give him one more chance. He's got to be ready to fire his A game, though. He needs at least a second to get into the gate in this race. So we'll find out. But, I mean, he's certainly bred to run all day. But, Jackson, Ben, any thoughts that you guys have on East Avenue?
We're about the same, I think. We both said the same thing. I think he's done. I mean, I think I find it interesting that they're blowing him out like crazy with these works ever since the Risen Star. And I honestly don't know if that's good or bad. And if I don't know, then I'm not going to bet it. So,
for me, it's starting to seem like, the debut effort got everything his own way completely on a slow pace and beat a bad field. Futurity race at Keeneland was a very speed favoring track that day. And I think he kind of just rode that because he was so bad in the juvenile. I know he broke terrible, but it's not like he broke terrible then made a move and flattened. He was bad the whole race. And the Risen Star, I mean, what the heck is the excuse in the Risen Star? He was done at the half-mile pole, maybe even before that. And Magnitude won on the lead. He was right next to him. They didn't go that fast where he was gonna lose by 22 lengths. He can beat me. He reminds me a little bit of Dornoch from last year, where the excuses he ran well as a 2-year-old. The excuses started piling up, then all of a sudden he kind of clicked again. The difference is that Dornoch, when he finally won the Belmont, was 40-1. And East Avenue was going to be 4 on Saturday.
Yeah.
So he can beat me all day long.
Yeah, no, he's going to beat me too. He's not going to be on any of my tickets. Just a horse that I wanted to pick in third, and I figured we should talk about since we're talking about these runners. I mean, does anyone have anything to say on Admiral Dennis for Brad Cox? If not, it's no worries.
I'll talk about Chancer real quick.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, he's a tough read because his two-turn efforts have been pretty poor. I mean, you can excuse the juvenile, I guess, but he ran so much worse than Hill Road did, and Hill Road was back there with him too. So that's the one that bothers me. The Tampa Bay Derby, he was close up on the pace, I guess. It's kind of seems it was by default. I don't know. I think if I'm taking a closer, I really want Burnham Square, who's going to be a much better price and kind of has a lot more, has proven two-turn form and has more recency than him, and he's going to be a better price. So I'd go there.
I'm with
9-2 morning line on him and 7-2 on Chancer.
Yeah.
9-2 on Burnham Square is even better. I thought we were at 4-1, so that's even a step above. I guess we got to end it by talking about the Kentucky Derby and Oaks winning trainer Kenny McPhee. He hasn't entered in here for Sheldon Russell named as the rider, but that's rendered judgment. Finished second last time out in the Virginia Derby to American Promise. Anybody have any thoughts on this runner?
Might be like a third or fourth place horse. I mean, he's got that late kick. He's going the right direction. I mean, if they go crazy on the front end, if the 1, 4, and 5 all hook up, I can see him clunking up for third.
If I'm doing my math correctly, I think he's around third place in the second Virginia Derby. I think was 50 points, if I'm not mistaken. So he's got to be around 35 points, I think, with the third in the Gun Runner, which I believe is 10, and then the second in the Virginia Derby. So he's a fourth-ish place finish away from making the gate. So that's certainly something that's doable. That might put him right on kind of the brink there, but not something where he necessarily has to peak. But I would like to see him obviously run well. But
and one thing that isn't it weird that Brian Hernandez Jr. is not on a Kenny McPeak? I mean, I love that Sheldon Russell's getting a shot. Don't get me wrong, but he'd only do that if Brian Hernandez chose otherwise.
Right.
Also, isn't it crazy? All 7 of these horses have never been off a fast dirt track in their entire life. That's crazy.
For these East Coast horses, that's very surprising. Very surprising.
It is, yes. If this was the Santa Anita Derby, nobody's surprised.
Right.
For this being a race with all East Coast runners, no, it's shocking that none of them have ever faced an off track. So that might play a huge factor. It's definitely the rain, I think, is continuing through Saturday, if I've seen the forecast correctly. So it could very well be sloppy. It could very well be, who kind of gets the clean trip and everything like that. But it's something to watch. But that is race number 10. That's the Grade 1 Bluegrass Stakes going 9 furlongs. I went 3-6-5. Jackson went 3-1-6. And Ben went 6-1-4. Last thing we got up here for everybody is our pick 5 tickets. Jackson, I got to put your total in really quick, and you are at a whopping $4.50, my man.
Wow!
So you are really breaking the bank with your pick 5 ticket.
Versus, and I realized I made a mistake on one of mine.
It's okay. Would you want to correct there?
I think I put 9 instead of 10 for that one race. The extra Onejo.
Got it. All right, fix that up for you.
Add that in there,
Had to, yes, without a doubt. So my ticket is $81. Ben, you're going to lead us off with your $90 pick 5. And then Jackson's got a $4.50 ticket that's really going to stretch the bank here. But Ben, why don't you take it away?
I think I'd probably advise against playing exotics on Saturday, if I were to be honest, just as saving money type. But also you could hit the biggest cash in your life. And Jackson, to your point, I think what the number one pick 6 in the entire U.S. was some dude in Nebraska who played it for like $7. So, it's just that's horse racing. That's horse racing, but it'll be exciting regardless. And then also we got the Wood and the Santa Anita Derby too. Yeah. 2 fantastic races. Kind of wrapping up our Kentucky Derby and Oaks preps. But that's my $90 ticket. Sorry, it's $90. But I had $100 limit. So.
We give a $100 budget. Mine's $81. Jackson, try not to take too long explaining your pick 5 ticket here, but I love the 3 singles. I love these skinny tickets on the off days.
Yeah, well, the thing is it's probably gonna be off the turf, so this ticket's gonna be different. And so right now, this is a ticket for on the turf. So I'm gonna go 1-3-6 in the first leg. If this thing comes off, I'm probably gonna play the pick 4 only, to be honest. But if it stays on, I'm gonna be 1-3-6. That's with Nitrogen, Fion, and Totally Justified. And in the Commonwealth, I think Hoist the Goal's got a good shot in there. I think it's a race where you can get a little bit of separation from the rest of the pack if you're going to be really aggressive and single. So if you're right about that, it's going to open up a lot of opportunities for the rest of the sequence. In the Madison, I'm going to go Harbor Springs, Skyla, and Justique. Hopefully, Harbor Springs can shock the world at 30-1. It'll be really pretty if we can get that done. And then again, the Shaker Town, it's tough to know what to do in that race. If it stays on, I think I'm going to try to just get by with just the European who has a proven soft going form and is a graded stakes winner overseas. So it's not like he's some allowance horse coming over. That's a good horse. And Pratt Brothers to ride, which is good enough for me. And then, Burnham Square. This is a horse I've been on all spring. I think he's going to get the right kind of setup, and he's going to be the right kind of price. So yeah. I agree with Ben a little bit. I think this is a day where you probably want to play more vertically than horizontally, just because with the elements, the weather, everything that's happening, it's going to be tough to connect the dots. But I think if you're right, you are going to get rewarded for it.
No doubt about it. That's a $4.50 ticket for Jackson. I'll end us off here. $81 pick 5 for me. This was handicapped for off the turf, but I'm with Jackson and Ben, where exotics might not be the best play, but I wanted to throw a ticket together for the people just in case. But I'd probably wheel back with the pick 4, just with them 3 dirt races, and then you have 1 off the turf race instead of 2, just a little bit easier there. But I'll go, 4, 7, 9 in that first race, thinking they're going to come off the turf. Those 3 runners have some decent dirt form. Next race, I'm going really deep. I'm with Ben. That I think is the most difficult race in the sequence. So I'll go 6 deep in there, just trying to spread. Extra Anejo is definitely one of the top picks in there. Is that pick or that horse looks really nice. Next race, I'll go 2, 6, 8. In the Madison Stakes, I'll use Emory, I'll use Mystic Lake, and I'll use Scylla. I think those 3 are
same right there, baby.
Yep. I think to me, those are just the 3. I don't really see it going anywhere else. But again, maybe with scratches, or maybe if the track's playing different, maybe I can adjust a little bit like that. And then next race, I'm going 5, 8, 9. Again, handicap that race for off the turf, but that's always a toss-up because we got to wait for scratches. Basically, the whole plan of my day on Keeneland Saturday is just get alive to that 3-horse in the Bluegrass. That is Burnham Square. That's going to be my whole day. If that horse loses, so be it. But I think that horse is going to run a huge number. Horse still has a little bit of work to do to, make sure they're rounding into the right kind of form, getting into the gate. So I'm expecting a solid, A effort out of that one. Not 100%, of that A+. I think that's safe for that first Saturday in May. But I think we can absolutely get a 98-ish buyer and get a W for Burnham Square. So that's what I'm hoping for. That's an $81 ticket. But again, Ben mentioned it, and he hit the nail on the head. Might not be the best day for those exotics, depending on the conditions of the racetrack. But Ben, why don't you thank you for joining us, obviously, first of all. But why don't you let us know where we can find you this week as we ramp up to the Derby?
Yeah, absolutely. We're actually doing a late night recording. I got Colin Sheehan from Doubling Down. I don't know if you all are familiar, but anyway, he's got little kids, so the only time he can do it is like 9:30 Eastern time. So be a late night in the office. That's why I'm starting the day off at my house. But you can follow us at Equibase on YouTube. We do a weekly Thursday, just handicapping podcast, different guests all week. We've had Doug O'Neill on, Tommy Bellahouse of West Point on. So Grant Forrester has been great. And so it's just a fun podcast. We try to keep it to a half hour and pick three top races of the weekend, some featured races and try to pick some winners. That's called the Inside Track Podcast. You can find that at equibase.com/podcast or YouTube on Equibase. So thanks for letting me give that shout out. I appreciate that. Of
course. And I like that you had Doug O'Neill on as a guest. He's been on with Jackson, myself, and our buddy Noah Maher.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy. So
he's
chill.
A great guy. He's a great guy. Yeah. We met his nephew, Shane O'Neill. He's out on the West Coast, so we've been tight with him. But no, we have a handful of Doug O'Neill stories already. So excited to get more of those. Jackson, are you off to the grocery store or Starbucks, or what's the move for you in the car next?
I'm going to go back to my room in a little bit. I do have work in a couple of hours, but that's a couple of hours away. Let me plug real quick. I just recorded a show for Keeneland opening day on Friday. So that's going to be on the In the Money YouTube channel and probably Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. So go check that one out. Really good sequence, obviously, as you can expect for Keeneland. And, even if that one comes off as well, which that one I think is more likely to, it's still very competitive. There's a lot of horses that are on the AE that have dirt form. So I think you'll still get pretty good field sizes. So really looking forward to getting Keeneland started. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a ton of fun. And also on Saturday, it's going to kick off a live show that I'll be doing. Jackson will be joining us. I'll likely have another co-host with me. It'll be hosted through America's Best Racing's YouTube and X channels, but it's going to be covering the Dubai World Cup. So early morning on Saturday, we're going to go over that. We'll probably get the 3 races leading up to it. More to come on that. So just keep an eye out on ABR and my X accounts. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That should be a ton of fun. Early start to Saturday, but we're going to go over those 3 races leading up to the Dubai World Cup, including the Dubai World Cup. And then we'll kind of preview the day at Keeneland once scratches and everything like that kind of comes out. We'll kind of update everybody and keep an eye out. But big week ahead as we kick off Keeneland. We have 300-point Derby preps and then the Dubai World Cup as well as that entire racing festival. So another huge Saturday coming up. And yeah, Ben, thank you again for joining us. That was a ton of fun. We definitely want to get you back on here soon with us. And
I got to get you guys on the inside track. That would be a blast. You guys are awesome to talk with. So it's been just so much fun talking horses with you guys. So.
Been a ton of fun. It's always enjoyable. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I know this was a little earlier in the morning than we're used to, but still plenty of you guys tuned in. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.